The night the storm hit, the sky looked like it was tearing itself apart. Rain slammed against the windows of Daniel's small house at the edge of town, and thunder shook the ground like an angry god. He was used to the sound. It had been a quiet evening of helping his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, with her homework, the smell of soup simmering on the stove, and a worn-out radio whispering old songs. But when the desperate knock came at the door, loud, uneven, almost panicked, it cut through everything. When Daniel opened it, lightning flashed behind the figure on his porch. A woman stood there, drenched from head to toe, shivering. Her coat was soaked through, her hair stuck to her face, and her eyes, those piercing gray eyes, looked like they were holding back 1,000 unspoken words. I'm sorry, she stammered, clutching her bag like a lifeline. My car broke down near the bridge. I just needed somewhere to come in, Daniel said before she could finish. She hesitated, almost surprised by his kindness, then stepped inside. He grabbed a towel and handed it to her. Lily peeked from behind the hallway door, curiosity bright in her eyes. The woman smiled softly, trying to catch her breath. I'm Claire, she said. Daniel, he replied. And that's Lily. As the storm roared outside, the three of them found themselves sharing the same small living room. The lights flickered, the wind howled, and for a while, no one spoke. Daniel poured her a mug of hot cocoa, noticing the way her hands trembled slightly, not just from the cold, but from something deeper. Rough night? He asked gently. You could say that, she said with a sad half-laugh. Maybe a rough few years. He didn't press. There was something about her voice, polished but tired, soft yet burdened, that hinted at a world far removed from his own. She didn't look like someone used to being stranded in storms. Her clothes were expensive, even soaked through, and her wristwatch probably cost more than his truck. But that night, none of that mattered. When Lily fell asleep on the couch, Claire helped tuck her in. Watching her kneel beside his daughter, Daniel saw a flicker of warmth that didn't match the cold, corporate edge she seemed to carry. Thank you, she whispered later, sitting by the fire. For letting a stranger in. Daniel shrugged, staring at the flames. We all need a place to rest sometimes. She looked at him for a long moment, as if those words pierced something in her. Then, softly, she said, You have no idea how right you are. The next morning, the storm had passed. The sun broke through the clouds, glinting off puddles and dripping rooftops. Claire stood by the window, wearing one of Daniel's flannel shirts, her soaked clothes drying by the heater. She looked peaceful. Different. When she went to leave, she thanked him again, pressing a small card into his hand. If you ever need anything, she said, call me. He glanced at it and froze. The card read, Claire Whitmore, CEO, Whitmore Holdings. He'd heard that name before. Everyone had. The company that owned half the downtown developments. The woman people described as cold, untouchable, ruthless, but the woman who'd fallen asleep on his couch last night had been none of those things. Weeks passed, and Daniel thought that was the end of it. Life returned to its rhythm: work, school runs, fixing up old furniture for his small repair business. But one afternoon, a sleek black car pulled up in front of his workshop. Claire stepped out, dressed in her signature tailored suit, looking every inch the powerhouse the world knew her to be. I owe you something, she said. Lunch? He smiled. You don't owe me anything. Then call it a favor, she said, her tone softening. Please. Over lunch at a quiet cafe, the walls between them began to crumble. Claire confessed that the night of the storm, she'd been running not from the weather, but from her life. From an empire that had made her powerful but lonely. From investors who saw her as a number, and from a fiancé who only loved her title. Daniel listened, not with judgment, but understanding. Sometimes, he said, you have to lose your way to find what matters. She looked at him, then really looked, and something shifted. From then on, she found reasons to visit. Sometimes she'd bring Lily a book or drop by with coffee for Daniel. And slowly, her guarded smile turned into laughter that filled the small house more than the storms ever could. One evening, months later, Claire invited Daniel to a charity gala. Just as company, she said, trying to sound casual. He almost said no, he wasn't made for her world, but Lily pushed him. Go, Dad. You help people all the time. Maybe she just needs someone to help her, too. At the gala, cameras flashed, and whispers filled the room. The powerful CEO had walked in, not with another executive, but with a quiet single father from nowhere. But Daniel didn't care. He offered her his hand, and when she took it, something in her posture softened, like she could finally breathe. Later that night, on the balcony overlooking the glittering city, she said quietly, "You know what I realized? That night you took me in. I thought I just needed shelter. But it was more than that." He turned to her. "What did you need?" Her eyes glistened. "A place to be seen. And you saw me." Daniel smiled faintly. "You just needed a little warmth. We all do." She laughed through the tears. "You gave me more than warmth, Daniel. You gave me home." And when she leaned her head on his shoulder, the city lights below seemed to fade into nothing, because sometimes, the storm that brings two people together isn't something to fear, it's the very thing that clears the sky, revealing what they were both searching for all along.